Hey, what's up everybody? Mad Mikey B coming at you here with another one. Thanks for tuning into the channel. Video today, I kind of want to just do a recap of all the vinyl that I've managed to pick up during 2024. A lot of this mainly comes from a lot of the concerts that I've gone to. If you're not aware, I'm trying to break a personal record. When I was 22, 23, I went to 113 shows in 1 year. Currently, I'm trying to best that by one, so I'm trying to get to 114 shows in 1 calendar year. As of last night, I am up to 108, so I'm so close, so very, very, very close. I'll make a video if I hit the benchmark and kind of go over from there, rating my experience, different concerts, what was the best concert of the year, what was the worst concert of the year. Obviously, I'm not going to rate all 114 shows. That's just too many. I might do like a top 50, a top 20. I don't know. Might decide that at the end of the year. But either way, through all those processes, especially with like Black Circle, the Vogue, and then a couple other festivals as well too, I've managed to acquire a couple records. A lot are signed by the band. As we stated in a previous video, I do like to meet the band after the show, or during intermission or anything like that, between changing of the bands, to get a record signed. And it's kind of an experience. Like I said, it's not for resale. One of these records on here actually that I got through, it's a bootleg obviously, but one of those is actually, I just checked Discogs, it's going for stupid money, so I'm like, probably not going to do that. So first up out of the bat is went to see a show for Until I Wake. So me and a buddy of mine, Kyle, we went to a 1,000 Below show, and I saw Until I Wake actually open up, and so I'm like, yeah, I really want to go see this band. This isn't an album from Until I Wake. It's actually a band from one of the openers that opened for them. The band is called A Virtue. This is their Omen album. It's a fantastic album. The moment I heard the one single that I believe has been played with Octane a couple times, I was hooked. And so, I managed to buy the record and get the lead singer to sign it. The rest of the band was unloading, and I, at that time, was trying to get front row to the Until I Wake set, so I kind of had to get this done and quickly go there. So I kind of missed the opportunity to get the whole band to sign it. But it's one of those. It's a cool pickup. If you haven't listened to this record, I highly recommend it. It's such a good spin. I've spun it, honestly, half a dozen times already, and I can't wait to play it even more. Alrighty, next on the list is a band called Tomb Mold. Now we're starting to get into the obscure metal scene, obviously, as you can see from the title. You probably can't, for this band, you can read, I would say. No. If you're not well versed in, when you start getting into death metal and black metal, a lot of their names are kind of really hard to read. Tomb Mold's actually not that bad of a name to read for this. But this is their most recent album. This is the Enduring Spirits. They're just a great progressive death metal band. I forgot all about this. I actually managed to get an actual set list. So the thing with Tomb Mold, a lot of their songs run long, especially because they're on the progressive side. So it might not look like a lot of songs on here, but some of these songs run quite a bit of time, like over 10 minutes in length. And another band I had the vinyl for, their songs go pretty long as well too. But if you're into, I would say, death metal, if you've never heard of Tomb Mold, give them a listen. They're a really great bunch of guys. great show. It was the first time ever coming to Indianapolis. They came to Black Circle. Hopefully they come back. I hope they do. It was such an amazing time. I got to meet, I think every member, because I think everybody signed the record. This is a great bunch of dudes. Can't wait for their next album, and hopefully they come back. They had a great experience here. If you've never been to Black Circle's probably. I mean, I've been to most of the metal venues in the Midwest, in Chicago, Ohio, you know, the Columbus, Cincinnati area, even down in Louisville, and even up in Michigan. There's just something special about Black Circle, mainly because with Black Circle, it's very relaxed. There's no barricade. It's literally just the floor, the bar behind you or to your right, and then you have the stage. That's it. There's no barricade. There's really no security. It's a very intimate environment where you can get to know the band. Now, obviously, they don't want to be, you know, messed with or harassed in any way. I mean, they obviously leave the stage immediately, go to their tour bus, and just leave. But a lot of times, the band comes out to the merch table, does a lot of interacting with its fans, and I just like that. The Vogue used to be like that before it was sold to a production company, and unfortunately, this company just ever since the Vogue got sold, it just hasn't been the same. And I've been to a few shows out of the 114 I'm going for this year was at the Vogue, and unfortunately it was not a good time. Asking Alexandria. Alrighty, so next up on the list, I don't know if this can be seen very well just because this is a very glossy album, but this is the most recent vinyl, I would say, album by Horrendous. In my last video, I actually had a Horrendous album signed, and Horrendous actually came many moons ago to the Vogue, and this was their first time coming back in, I'm gonna say, in about 10 years. They opened up, I believe it was for Obituary back when Obituary came to the Vogue, and they actually came in and opened for I believe it might have been actually Tomb Mold. I've been to so many shows this year, I need to go back and look and see who opened for what. But Horrendous, they're just an amazing band. This record, I am Ontological Mysterium. Yeah, I might have butchered that, but this is a red and black marbled vinyl. It is limited to 350 records worldwide. There's a couple different variants. I think 2 other variants for this as well too. So I managed to get the red and black. I also didn't mention on the Tomb Mold one is a colored variant as well too. I'll put pictures of the vinyl and everything, and a lot of these so you can kind of see the different splatter effects and different vinyl. Obviously, this one is signed by the members of the band. They actually remember their time at the Vogue, and I kind of reminisced about that. And it's just, like I said, it's just such a great venue for Black Circle, just to bring these bands in, have kind of an intimate environment, and get everything signed, pictures, kind of like a meet and greet perspective, without having to pay hand and fist. I mean, it's free, so as long as you know pay for a ticket to support the venue, you're able to experience awesome situations like this. So if you already haven't, be sure to just take a listen to this. Very death forward, very technical death as well too. It's just one of the best records and one of the best technical death records for this year, and honestly one of the best tech death bands currently on the market. So, all right, I'm gonna interject and go over the bourbon or drink of the evening. It is going to be 2024's release of Redwood Empire. So this is the Screaming Titan. This is the Weeded Bourbon. This is batch 2. I have had batch 1. I own a bottle of batch 1, but I managed to find batch 2 at my local Total Wine. I love I love Weeders. The Weller line is some of my favorite bourbon of all time. But I will say the Screaming Empire is probably, I'm not afraid to say it, hands down, probably my favorite Weeder. Now, obviously, you have Antique 107, which is my favorite Weller of all time. I do have not Antique. I do have a Weller 12. That's great. In my opinion, the 107 is better for me as far as taste wise. But this is just such a fantastic pour. It's one of those. If you've never had Redwood Empire, I would start small. Start with either the Pipe Drink or the Emerald Giant. If you're not a rye fan, their Emerald Giant actually. Let's see. It's actually great old fashions are made with this. This is my sipper when it comes to old fashions. So it's one of those to where if you're not into the rye game, start with this. Don't start with like Elijah Craig rye, Jack Daniels rye, other things like that. This is a palpable rye to get you into the game, to start getting into the sweetness, that like minty flavor, other things that, you know, perturb a lot of people when it comes just to bourbon drinkers. Because trust me, when I first started out, I was a bourbon drinker straight up. Did not like rye, didn't want to have anything to do with rye. But talking to a couple people, trying a lot of samples at different bourbon events and other things of that nature, I managed to become a little bit more accustomed to the rye forward flavor. And this is one I would recommend. But if you manage to find the Screaming Titan at your local liquor store, pick it up. It's actually a highly allocated bottle, at least here in the state of Indiana. As far as, I believe it's 90 proof, if I remember right. Yes, it's 90 proof. 61% corn, 30% wheat, 5% rye, and it looks like it's 4% malt. Toasted in char 3 barrel. Sorry, it's 96 proof. So, but this is the second batch. Honestly, way better than the last year's. Last year's was great. This just blows it out of the water, in my humble opinion. Redwood is doing such an amazing job. I can't wait to see what they have in store for more. I have a couple other bottles highly allocated as well too. This is probably, if I had to choose something as far as like a daily drinker, I would choose this. Obviously, I don't have enough bottles to make something like this my daily drinker. But anytime I have this as a pour, it's just gonna be a good time. So, back to vinyl. Alrighty, so the next one is a band that I saw at Black Circle for Heavy Hell 5, which is an annual event put on at Black Circle for a lot of underground metal bands. This year, actually, they brought back one of the most iconic and pioneering bands, honestly, ever. It's Coven, which predates Black Sabbath, in which some metalheads have the argument who was the real inventor of the heavy metal scene, especially with, you know, the devil horns and the sign of the occult, Satan, other things of that nature. A lot of that originated with the band Coven, and then a year later, Black Sabbath came out with the self-titled, and it just, you know the story. Everything went from there. They became huge and became one of the biggest rock bands of all time, and then being ushered in as being considered the godfathers of metal. But to each his own, depending on what you want to believe in. But this is the record by Acid Witch called Not Among Us. Great bunch of guys, great show. I might have heard a few songs in the past from this band, and I honestly, I didn't really know any songs by heart going in, and wow was I wowed. It's come to a point to when you go to so many shows, you get bored and nothing excites you anymore. This was the opposite. I rushed immediately to the merch table after I saw the band, managed to grab the vinyl, managed to meet the band, and actually have them sign it. One of the members actually drew this witch, and that was freestyle. That's not printed or anything. He actually drew the witch on there. And this is one of the pressings for the candy corn stripe vinyl. Thousand of this particular color was pressed. Very good stoner rock metal. Obviously, it's Acid Witch. A lot of their songs are very grotesque, very stoner high, related along with a little evil, kind of like Halloween. Just a very grim, occult nature, which fits in my realm of music. So, but that's just what I enjoy. Acid Witch was a great time. I really, really hope Heavy Hell comes back. I know, unfortunately, financially it didn't do what Black Circle was hoping, but for bringing bands I would have never thought of hearing before. I mean, it was a breath of fresh air. It really was. And I'm glad I was able to experience it. Hopefully it comes back next year. Dustin and the boys put on hell of a show, and it's just one of those. I think the metal community really needs something like this to pull everything together so the scene doesn't die. Because I mean, there's not too many venues left anymore that can host events like this. Well, speaking of Obituary, we have an Obituary album. They actually performed at Black Circle. I know, Black Circle again. This year, I'm actually shocked they came to a pretty small venue like this, especially with no barricades, nothing like that. Completely sold out show. Great bunch of guys. Managed to pick this record up. I picked up a previous record when they played at the Vogue. I'm gonna say it's about 10 years at this point. This is Dying of Everything. I believe this is on Green Camo, which is 1,000 copies released by Relapse Records. It is signed by all members of the band. Just a great bunch of guys. Obviously, just straight up, just death metal. Yeah. Okay, now we're going to switch it up for just a hot second. This next vinyl that I acquired this year is actually, it's not a bootleg, it's actually licensed by a composer. His name is, and I apologize if I butcher this, it's either Rosin or Rosen. This is a orchestrated retelling of Legend of Zelda through the Breath of the Wild. This is mainly an orchestrated, arranged, very symphonic retelling of the soundtrack. I ordered this a while ago. It finally came in. I just thought I would include it in the list of vinyl that I managed to pick up this year. It finally came in the mail after I forgot when I ordered this, but it came in, so I just wanted to include it in there as well too. It's not a bootleg, it's not from a concert, but I ordered it either way because it's a soundtrack that anything from The Legend of Zelda is amazing. Anything that comes out as far as soundtrack wise is great. Really wish Nintendo would get off their high horse and actually press these to vinyl. They'd make a bunch of money. Heck, even Microsoft is allowing Lace to repress the Halo trilogy, and I managed to order a box set for that, which unfortunately was not cheap. So that'll probably be coming in next year. So once I get that in, I'll also show you at that point in time. So, alrighty, this one I'm actually really excited about. I am a huge Red Jumpsuit Apparatus fan. They were probably as far as I don't really know what I would call this, a scene kid, an emo kid, a pop punk fan. It was during high school when like Census Fail, Taking Back Sunday, Pierce the Veil, Fall Out Boy, My Chemical Romance, all of that was in the height of its popularity. Obviously, this is the record that has Your Guardian Angel and obviously Face Down, which is their biggest hit. Me and my wife went to Vegas this past October for the When We Were Young festival. And this was one of the bands that was playing at the venue. They were played at, I believe it was the Verizon stage. It was the one with the tent over it. I'll post a video in this video of some of the performance of that as well too. They managed to re-release this album as I believe it's called the Alliance Edition for Don't Fake It, and it is signed by the members of the band. I believe this one is on a red splatter. Nope, that seam is coming apart. That's the only bad thing about these paper sleeves. They start tearing apart, and these paper sleeves aren't actually good for the vinyl. So, oh yeah, it's clear red splatter. Oh, that's actually really cool. I actually have not played this yet, so I might play it tonight since I'm recording this on a Saturday night. I don't have work tomorrow, which is really nice. Great album. If you never listened to this, what are you doing? I mean, just play Face Down and then boom, you'll be a fan instantly. So, all right, next up we have Coven. I just talked about them a moment ago. They were the headlining band for Heavy Hell 5. The cool thing about this performance, this was the, I believe it was the original lineup, which hasn't been seen in, oh God, I think they promoted like for 40 years or something of that nature. It was just a moment in metal history to just experience, and I'm glad I was able to be a part of that. I did not grow up listening to Coven. I didn't even know who Coven was until a couple years ago, until I started researching more into metal and getting more and deeper into more extreme versions of metal. When I first started listening to metal, I wasn't into the gutturals. I wasn't into the fry screams. I wasn't into all that stuff. You know, more melodic stuff. And then getting into stuff like metalcore, like Killswitch Engaged, As I Lay Dying, well, before the whole Tim thing, well, the current thing, and you know, getting down this rabbit hole, getting into more brutal metal, something that's a little bit harder, something that's a little bit more aggressive, but also sonically just pleasing. It's nice to go back to something that's refreshing as Coven, which is a remembrance of Black Sabbath, or I guess in this case pre-Black Sabbath. The very like doom, death elements. I'm a huge fan of doom metal, or funeral doom metal. This is a good, I would say, precursor to that whole movement, and obviously Black Sabbath. And you can easily Google Coven for more information, just to kind of learn about the history that went down with this band and how it led to, you know, kind of a trickle-down situation that would, you know, envelop metal as a whole, especially when it comes to imagery like the occult, the devil, pentagrams, other things of that nature. This was the epitome of, well, back in the 60s, 70s, evil. So it's good that I got to be able to experience this, and it's probably a once in a lifetime thing. I don't think I'll ever be able to see something like this again. So, all right. So, going back on video game soundtracks, I mentioned I own a lot of bootlegs in the last video. Well, this is a bootleg. This is The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. This is the soundtrack, not licensed. This is unofficial. So this is considered a bootleg. I think I saw a thing on Discogs. This thing is, oh my God, so it's over like $100 or something like that. It's crazy how much people will pay, especially when it comes to these secret Facebook groups that you have to be in to acquire these. And then if you're not in those groups, you miss out. I've missed out on a ton of vinyl and a ton of soundtracks. Majora's Mask. So it's a great album. The game is just a piece of my childhood. I've spun this record a couple times. This one is in green and magenta, I think is the color profile for this one. So as you can see, there's the color, pretty neat little pink and green. Obviously when I, play my records, I do make sure they're dust free, because I do have that static brush as well too, which is nice. It prevents damage and kind of a longevity for vinyl as well too. So glad to have in my collection another piece of music for the Legend of Zelda franchise. That's probably, as far as bootlegs go, I think that's probably the #1 series that I have the most amount of music for. I think that is the case. I don't even think Mario comes close. I know Metroid doesn't come close. Maybe Final Fantasy. No, it's Zelda. So, great pickup. I'm glad I managed to snag it before they all sold out. Okay, so the next one, I'm not going to take too much time with this one, just because I don't want this video to be an hour long. Death Parade. This is an anime. I mainly got this for the opener for this anime. It's, if you don't watch anime, Google the opening for this. It's just a fun, catchy, just rhythmic song. Mainly only got it for that song, but it's good to have for the collection anyway. So the other one is a band that me and my wife love going to see their shows. Great atmosphere, great aesthetic, and honestly speaking, they might be one of the best theatrical performances out there, period. I talk about Rammstein, Slipknot, other bands like that, but they spend millions of dollars to vamp up their image, to vamp everything. Rammstein's playing Soldier Field, Slipknot's playing sold out venues like Ruoff, Home Mortgage Center. Well, this is Here Come the Mummies. They play venues like the Vogue or the State Fair. They sell out little venues like that. For a band of members that are dressed up like mummies, the shtick that they have is they're all bound by a contract through different record companies, and it's not allowed for them to participate with rival companies' members. I don't know if that's true or not. I think that's probably a gimmick. If it is, it doesn't matter. They make such great music. Funky, soul. Obviously, if you know this band, a lot of their stuff is Sexual Innuendos. Obviously, well, let's see. You got Jailbait, Creepin'. You have Love Triangle, Chunky, Freak Flag. They also got songs like Pants. It's just great time, great atmosphere. Me and my wife love going to the Vogue every year. They've even said that that's one of their favorite venues of all time. They've performed on Bob and Tom before. It's Bob and Tom's favorite group that comes on to perform with them. So I mean, it's just, if you haven't listened to Here Come the Mummies, just take a listen. Carnival is such a great album. I believe this one is on blue vinyl, if I remember right. Yeah, that sounds about right. So, on nice deep blue vinyl. So if you manage to pick up this album or listen to it, give it a chance. I mean, this might be my favorite Here Come the Mummies album. And whenever they announced they were going to press this to vinyl for an exclusive blue pressing, I couldn't miss out on it. So I'm glad to add this to my collection, and I'm going to keep spinning it, until, well, I might need another one because it'll wreck the vinyl. Okay, I'm going to speed this along. Earlier on this year, managed to see Immortal Birds and Dreadnought. This is by Dreadnought. So this was their most recent album, and I think this is just called The Endless. Yes, The Endless. They performed at Black Circle, but a couple years ago they also performed at the Fire Mountain Festival, which is coming back finally next year. No, it's no longer in Wyoming; it's now in Montana. But I really have never heard of this band, and then once I saw them live, I was blown away. Immediately saved all their music to my phone, and then once I knew they were coming to Indy, I just had to go see them, and luckily they were there. I picked up the vinyl from Indie Seating Vinyl, and then the jacket inside is signed. I should have got it signed outside, but I wasn't thinking at the time. It was just a cool experience. My wife also loves the band as well too, so I took her to the show. And if you've never heard of Immortal Birds as well too, they're also a black metal band from Chicago actually. I saw them open up for Emperor as well too. That was such a fantastic show. Me, my buddy Kyle, and my good buddy Rudy from college, I managed to drag them to a black metal show. So it was an interesting show, especially to see somebody that had never been to a black metal or any extreme metal show. It was interesting to say the least. So the next one also I'll go through is bands that I saw at the beginning of the year. One of them is Witching, and then the other one is, and I'm gonna unfortunately butcher this name just because it's very Germanic. It's Fulsakama. A few of the members are actually from Imperial Triumphant, which I didn't know at the time because I never listened to Imperial Triumphant until they actually came to Indianapolis and opened up for Adith, which was a really, really great show. Fulsakama. The shtick on this is a very Germanic, Austrian operatic vocals. The lead vocalist is a female that does a lot of operatic singing, and it's just a good time. It's something that you're caught a guard by, and it's just listen to it. That's all I have to say. You might not like it, but it's for metalheads, it's something to behold. I'll tell you that. All right, next up is going to be Deathblock. They came to Indianapolis this year to the Old National Center, to the Egyptian Room. Obviously, it's signed. This is their most recent album, Deathblock 4. Yes, 4. Finally came out. We didn't, as a Deathblock fan, honestly, we didn't even know if we were going to get a 4th album at this point, which, I mean, the 3 albums that they had beforehand, fantastic. The show, fantastic. The movie that just released this past year is fantastic as well, too. Managed to pick up a signed vinyl. Obviously, I had to pay for the signed vinyl. They're so big at this point, you're not going to be able to meet Brandon and get it signed unless you're really super lucky. Unfortunately, with the Old National Center, they built kind of a wooden fence that prevents people from waiting outside the venue now to get signatures, which sucks, but I mean, it protects the artists from, people wanting to do them harm or harass them or anything of that nature. All right, so few remaining. These are kind of not for concerts. This is just pickups from the year of ordering. One of my favorite record companies, which is based out of Europe, is, I believe it's pronounced Von, but it's VAN, but obviously the A has a mark above it. So one of the records that I managed to hear a single from is, I believe it's just Attic, if that's how you pronounce that name of that. This is the return of the Witchfinder in red marbled vinyl. It is a very, how do I want to put this? King Diamond-esque. If you like Abigail, you're going to love this. If you're a Merciful Fate fan, you're going to love this. It's not for everybody. King Diamond did come to Indianapolis this year, which, weirdly enough, Stranger Attractions, which is the company that is ran by Dustin, who brings a lot of shows to Black Circle. So thank you, Dustin, for bringing King Diamond to the Marat Theater. I never thought King Diamond would play here again after Mayhem Festival, which was at that point the last Mayhem, but they're bringing that back, so I'll be kind of curious how that plays into next year, since it's going to be a multi-city show. But if you like a very King Diamond Merciful Fate sound, check this out. It's such a great record. It's not for everybody, but if you dig that sound, please give it a listen. Okay, so we're going back on bootlegs, and the last two bootlegs I saved for last are I went on my Discogs account to make sure everything that I mentioned today was actually on it, and the value that this record has sold for at its height makes you want to think about selling your bootlegs. But obviously I'm not about that. So this is the bootleg for Fallout. So this is the songs of The End of the World. What can I say? Fallout's such an amazing series. One of my favorite RPGs of all time. Along there with the Elder Scrolls. Anything Bethesda does that isn't Starfield is really fantastic. I think, is there a track list on this? I don't know if this has the thing on it. So as you can see, it's kind of very Fallout-esque. Obviously, you kind of have the back being kind of the, when the war started, when the bombs fell, very, Vault-like or Vault-Tech-like. And it looks like, what's this? I've never really actually opened this. Oh, that's actually kind of cool. There's your sing-along lyric book for surviving in the wasteland. Wow, that's actually really cool. Okay, so there's your track listing. Okay, I was like, I couldn't remember if they actually had it as well too. So 5 stars, Billie Holiday, Easy Living. Pokemon, Orange Colored Sky, Nat King Cole. Tickled Pink, Happy Times. Oh, this is actually really cool. I've never actually opened this before. Warren, Uranium, 60-Minute Man, Crawl Through the Fallout. Yeah. Great record. So, great video game. I'm glad I'm able to have this. So it's just a part of my collection, a part of music history. I believe on Discogs, the highest it's sold for at this point is over $300, which, for just a single LP is pretty outrageous. So, pretty crazy. Last but not least is going to be another bootleg. This one is also fetching, as far as resale value on Discogs as well too. I guess Discogs is becoming more lax with selling bootlegs now, because originally you weren't able to list bootlegs, but I don't sell stuff, so I don't really know the dynamic of that. But this is the official soundtrack, or not official. This is the unofficial soundtrack for Star Fox 64. The N64 was my first major system as a kid. I remember Dad coming back from deployment from the Middle East, and him bringing in his hands in the airport the Mario 64, Nintendo 64 bundle. That's when I just fell in love with gaming. Mario was my first real game, but I managed to pick up Star Fox 64 later, after playing it over at a friend's house, and I was just blown away. At that time, the graphics were amazing, the gameplay was amazing, the characters, it's just such a memorable time. It just brings me back to my childhood, just listening to this record. And that's how a record should be. It's supposed to be a memory. If something, that you cherish, you just want to hold on to it. And something like this is one of those you know, brings back that cherished memory I just don't want to forget about or ever want to forget about. And that's honestly for a lot of my video game music as well too. It's just, and a lot of it is nostalgia. I get that, but obviously I collect vinyl. This is nostalgia, and obviously the hobby has kind of gone down in the last couple of years, mainly because people are just overpressing at all get out, different variants. It's just becoming so saturated, which I get. You know, companies need to make money to keep doing this, but at the same time, I also gotta, you know, pick my battles as far as what to buy, because this is an expensive hobby. Especially when it comes to, obviously, as I mentioned before, the bourbon. That's also another expensive hobby. So it's just one of those. It just, at least for this, I'm glad to have it in my collection. It's never going to leave, and hopefully I'll be able to get other variants as far as the soundtrack goes as well too. So, all right. Well, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. That's just a little snapshot of the records that I managed to acquire over the 2024 calendar year. Obviously, we still got about a month and a half to go, so if I get any more records, I'll go ahead and make an end of the year video. And then what I'm planning on doing as well too is, like I said, once I deal with the 114 shows, if I manage to get that far, because I'm starting to get a little burnt out. I'll go and kind of make a video of all those shows and then just kind of give you a rundown of kind of the top 20, top 50 shows. I'm not going to do all 114. It's unfortunate that a lot of the shows that I remember, like I mentioned Full Tacoma, Funeral Chant, stuff like this, shows from the very, very beginning of the year, I just don't remember. It's just, you have so many shows. I've taken a lot of video, obviously, on my phone, which I'll replay all that just so I can kind of memorize myself and see what ends up being number one. I'm kind of teetering between 5 shows right now as far as like what the number one is, slots, now that I've had time to digest everything and not be just overwhelmed by visual sensation, which if you know me, if I talked about what has been the number one show of the year, you know the show I'm talking about. So, but I appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more additional content. I'll be posting some more stuff here in the next week or so. Side note, Dream Garage. Hopefully we'll get back to posting on that. It's starting to become winter season. There's not a lot of stuff we can do, unfortunately, with a lot of cars and stuff like that. And then, you know, once I hear back from Brock, we'll, you know, continue that on that level. But for right now, thank you so much for tuning in. This is Mad Mikey B signing off. Catch you later.